Hey coders, welcome back to our series Frontend Web Development for Beginners. And as I told you in the previous video, we are going to set up Visual Studio Code for writing our HTML. And you might be thinking why I'm going to set up Visual Studio Code if I can write the HTML in Notepad too. So guys, you are right, we can write HTML in Notepad too, but Visual Studio Code is an IDE and it helps us by providing different helpful plugins and extensions, and it's very easy to write programs in Visual Studio Code, so you get a lot of help and suggestions in the Visual Studio Code when we are writing programs. Now it's not necessary that you should install Visual Studio Code because there are several text editors and IDEs available in the market. You can choose any with which you feel comfortable, but I'm going to use Visual Studio Code because I'm comfortable with it. And if you also want to follow along with me, then I'm going to show you how you can install the Visual Studio Code. So to install Visual Studio Code, you have to open your browser. In the search bar, write VS Code, just that, and press enter. And you will see the Visual Studio Codes appearing on your screen. So you can click on the first link and it will direct you to the main page of Visual Studio Code, from where you can download Visual Studio Code, and you can match the URL as the code.visualstudio.com. and Visual Studio Code is available for multiple platforms, as you can see here. When you click on this drop down menu, you can see Visual Studio Code is available for Mac OS, Windows and Linux, but I'm going to choose Windows 64-bit, and that is already selected, so click on the download for Windows stable build, and it is going to start downloading as soon as you click on this link. As I have already downloaded and installed the Visual Studio Code in my computer, so I'm going to cancel it. But in your case, if you haven't downloaded it, you can let it download, and after downloading you can install by simply clicking on the next buttons, which I'm sure you know that. But in case if you don't feel that you can install Visual Studio Code on your own, then write down in the comment box. I will help you by making a separate video on Visual Studio Code, and I will show different commands and shortcuts of the Visual Studio Code. But for now, as I have already installed it, I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code, but you guys can install if you haven't installed it, so you can match with me. And guys, it is okay to use any of the text editor available, but make sure that you can match the flow with me, so you can get the most of these tutorials which I'm making for you. Let's close it now. I'm going to exit. Now guys, if you have installed the Visual Studio Code, you're gonna open the Visual Studio Code, and the Visual Studio Code looks like this. And if you open it for the first time, it may look different from mine, but it is going to be almost the same as this. This recent section is going to be empty in your case, but as I have already worked on Visual Studio Code, so there are some projects showing up in my recent tab. So to start with the Visual Studio Code, you can click on new file, or you can open a folder and work on it. As we haven't made any project, so we're gonna make a project on our desktop by manually creating a folder, and we're gonna call it Frontend Web Dev. Now from Visual Studio Code, we're going to open this folder, and to open this folder we can open it by multiple methods, and one of these methods is by clicking on this open folder, and another method is by going to file, clicking on open folder, and here you can see the shortcut of opening folder, that is Ctrl K and Ctrl+O. So let's try it by pressing Ctrl K and Ctrl O. Then guys, it is working, and now we can navigate to our desktop, and we're going to choose our folder just created. So as soon as I select my folder and open it in VS Code, it is going to look like this, and we're going to close this welcome tab. So because we haven't created any file in our project, it is going to look like this. So first of all, let's create a file and name it as index.html. Now again guys, you can name it anything, but index.html is a good choice. So guys, now I'm going to tell you why I choose VS Code for writing HTML or any programming language, and that is when you press exclamation mark, then VS Code is going to show something like this, emit abbreviation, and if you click on it or press the enter, it is going to autofill some HTML code, and it is called the boilerplate for HTML, which is auto-generated by Visual Studio Code's emit function for us, and it makes our workflow very fast. So I like this feature very much, and this file should look like the similar to our previous index.html, but something are additional here, and that are meta tags, and we're going to discuss meta tags in future videos. So for now we're going to delete it. One thing is missing, that is h1 tag. Heading, now it looks similar to the index.html we created in the previous videos. If you don't remember that video, then I'm briefly going to explain this code for you. So guys, on the top you can see the doc type HTML written, and it is the code written for browsers, and it is a symbol of HTML5 document. There are multiple versions of HTML, and one of them is HTML5. So it tells browser that this is the HTML5 document. And so after that you can see here the HTML tag, and it is mandatory for every HTML page that there should be an HTML tag and a closing HTML tag, and in between those there should be a heading tag and a closing heading tag, and after that there should be a body tag in which all of the content of our page is going to be. So anything you type between this opening and closing body tag is going to be displayed on our browser. And in the heading tag you can see the title tag, which is used to set the title for our web page, and we can change it to anything, and I'm going to change it like, as we understood this basic HTML document, we are going to learn the basic tags of HTML in our next video. Till then, stay healthy, keep coding.